Hang on, gang. Forgot something as usual. There we go.
If you were evil and wanted to destroy America, how would you do it?
If I wanted to destroy America, 1. Divide society. Encourage division across political, racial, and ideological lines, amplifying conflicts that create distrust and weaken national unity. 2. Weaken education. Gradually lower standards and shift focus away from critical thinking, creating a population that's more easily influenced and less informed. 3. Damage public health. Promote widespread use of unhealthy foods, chemicals, and pharmaceuticals, leading to chronic illness and dependency. 4. Break community bonds. Undermine family and community structures by fostering isolation and individualism over collective support. 5. Control the narrative. Limit free speech and censor alternative viewpoints, creating a culture where people fear speaking openly. This would erode resilience, leaving the nation open to influence and control.
Sound familiar? If you were evil and wanted
trust, whereas dictatorship is based on terror. If you systematically destroy trust in institutions, destroy trust in the media, in academia, in the courts, and so forth, some people think that this is liberating the people so that from these institutions.
Right.
It's not. When you destroy all trust, the only thing that can still work is a dictatorship. Right. So this is what would-be dictators do. They systematically destroy trust. And the other thing to realize is that the vast majority of information is not truth. A key misconception, especially in places like Silicon Valley, is to equate information with truth. Most information is junk. I mean, the truth is a very rare and costly and precious sub-kind of information. Because, to write a truthful story, you need to invest a lot of time and effort and money in research and fact-checking, whereas fiction is very, very cheap. The key issue is that democracy is based on trust, whereas dictatorship is based on terror.
And that's getting into a replay. I wish these didn't automatically go into. I just got to see, make sure we're on some of the outlets here. Give me a second. Yep. All right. So there. What are we talking about today? Why am I talking about trust and dictatorship? We heard that clip yesterday, actually. But the first one I've been looking for. And now that is a guy named, screen name is Denny Jur. He is a naturalist life coach, holistic type lifestyle, hot body, good looking guy. And what he did was he asked some form of AI how to take over the world. And then at the end of his clip, he asks you, looking into the camera, he goes, sound familiar? That's what's happening, gang. I've told you that's what's happening. I've been telling you that's what's happening. And here we are, another day. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're at. It's 11:07 here on the East Coast, 8:07 out there on the left, 3:07 p.m. in London, 16:07 in Berlin, 17:07, and 2 days before they go leaping forward in Tel Aviv and Israel, 17:07 in Gaza, 17:07 in Kyiv, 18:07 in Moscow. By the way, in 4 days, Kyiv jumps forward an hour. 11:07 p.m. in Perth and 2:07 a.m. tomorrow, Wednesday. It's not tomorrow for them. Tomorrow's here in Melbourne and Sydney. Welcome, gang. It's up the middle. I'm the guy that sounds like everybody else because that's why you're all here. The whole likeness thing, right? Or maybe you actually want to learn something. Or maybe you're a Trumper and just want to find something else to bitch about. But her emails. What are we going to do without her emails? Well, we've got Signal now. We can bitch about that. Of course, if you're a Trumper, that's not patriotic. God forbid we hold somebody's feet to the fire. Good morning to you, Ken, and the gang. Ken says that I look like Hal Jordan, Hal Jordan from his college years, maybe, with the long hair. Well, of course you're a Jon Stewart Green Lantern fan. We all got to hang on to our people, but also welcome everybody else. I like Jon Stewart, the Jon Stewart Green Lantern. I think it's with a T, though. There's something for you to look into for me. Ken spelling it Steward. I never caught that, if that's the case. And don't forget to check out The Point with Travis Evans tonight. Good morning, Travis. Welcome. Tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook. I think he's also on YouTube. That's a good show. We're still going to... I'm finally ahead on some other things. So, Travis, we got to talk about getting you on Yerg's Radio, too. So, Pete Hegseth, leading the charge in the Defense Department, has been busted by, I think it's the editor or one of the team members at The Atlantic for having received what I would hope would be classified information. I haven't seen it, so I can't tell you yes or no. But in what the journalist described as war plans against the Houthis on a mobile application called Signal. Is that the problem? That this journalist received the war plans, if they're even war plans? Or is it something deeper? Heading back to Green Lantern for a second. Ken says I'm correct. It's with a T. No big deal. I like that Jon Stewart character. One of my favorite episodes, or what is it? An issue, if it's a comic. One of my favorite issues I used to have, it's actually one of the most popular ones of my other favorite Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner. It was right before he became Ion, which was a godlike superhero. Kyle was so good at being Green Lantern, he didn't even need his ring anymore. And he got into this very vigilante type of Green Lantern. And that's when he became Ion, who became like a god. Because the issue that I had was when his intern, Kyle Rayner, the person, not the superhero, was an artist and a writer at a place like DC Comics. And his intern was this young, late high school, maybe early college kid, twinkish kid, who was gay. And Kyle's out there saving the world as Green Lantern, doing all kinds of things, even waiting for certain crimes that he knows is going to happen, and is there to stop it from getting worse. And he misses in his ego, really, is the lesson that he learned. He misses the signals that he's receiving, that his intern and his intern's boyfriend are about to be brutally mugged and hospitalized. And Kyle goes crazy. Very vigilante, very not what superheroes do. I mean, even beyond the vigilantism of Batman, who he talks with. And Bruce Wayne says, dude, slow your roll. You're still the kid on this team. Superman says the same thing. Flash, Barry Allen, tells him, dude, you're still the good guy. Stay that way. And so he writes his friend John Stewart, who's no longer Green Lantern, and says, I need a vacation. And you don't see who it is. He's just writing this letter, and you just basically see that he's going to quit. And then he just needs some time. You read the letter further, and you realize he just needs some time off. And he says, while I'm gone, mind the store for a while. Thanks, Kyle. And then the next camera, or it's a comic, the next frame is John Stewart in his Green Lantern uniform with his ring glowing and a fist made, and his reply is, count on it. And so now is John Stewart's back as Green Lantern while Kyle goes on vacation, clears his head. That was actually a rather famous, because it's one of the first times the LGBT community and some of the issues within the community were presented in a comic, especially on that level. There are other gay comic superheroes, but much less mainstream. And so that's one of the first times that was, and this was back, maybe I was in high school, maybe early college. So late 80s, early 90s. Anyway, so speaking of needing a superhero, Pete's coming off a plane here in this next clip. And he's going to actually deny that this is even a possibility. Of course, I mean, what would you expect somebody in the Trump administration to say? Here's Pete. Before I could, here's this Pete. We're actually going to hear from another Pete in a couple of minutes. He's coming off the plane, coming down the stairs.
Talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of...
That's the voice of Pete Hegseth doing what he's alleging this journalist does. All he's going to do is Trump-era projectionism.
Peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign because of the skill and courage of our troops. I've monitored it very closely from the beginning. And you see, we've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops...
Okay, that part's right. 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration from 2017 to 2020. That's not what he meant to say. What he meant to say was 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Biden administration, because obviously it's not his fault. That's not the only time this douchebag is going to screw up. Listen to this.
Our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through.
Okay, that's all true as well. Nobody's debating that. Nobody's denying that. However, a little guilt coming up here.
And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at shacks in Yemen. President Trump said, no more. We will reestablish deterrence. We will open freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly. I've heard I was characterized.
He was characterized. That's it? That's what you heard? That you were characterized? Well, let's keep going.
Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
Right,
Thank you.
I appreciate it. That's it.
The NSC said it was authentic. Secretary.
All right. So, what do we think? Well, finally, somebody's going to get some answers. Congress is apparently lining up to grill Trump officials on the secret Signal chat. So, okay, there's one. All right. We had the video of Hegseth. This is from Axios. All right. Congress lines up to grill Trump officials on secret Signal chat. In case you don't know, Signal is a chat application like Telegram, like Facebook Messenger. Very much like, what's the one? Snapchat, where you can send photos. I'll tell you what Snapchat was designed for. It was designed for the market that's using it. High school kids, young single people that are going to send photos that they don't want mom and dad to see. So by design, you send a pretty lady a photo of your junk, and she gets all hot and bothered by it. So maybe sets up a date with you later. And, to be clear, gays do it too. We just use Grindr. And then it disappears. What does that mean? That means that the evidence is gone. What does that mean? That means that's actually problem number 3. So not only did this asshat and his colleagues send information to a journalist that wasn't supposed to be in the group chat in the first place, but they're doing it on an application, Signal, that's not authorized by the U.S. government for such use. That's the bigger deal. The journalist that's following them around has a security clearance. What happens when you think the president goes to Iraq or Kyiv or some other war zone on a holiday to be with troops? You think we just go to the street corner and take the guy selling newspapers with us? Or perhaps we know those people getting on that plane with the president. And as a result, perhaps maybe somebody did a background investigation on each and every one of those journalists, and they were cleared as a result. Now, I'm not saying this administration would check all those boxes, but on a normal day of business, that's what would have happened. I'll give you an example. I'm still living in Pennsylvania. I'm early in my career, and I'm home for Thanksgiving. And we're actually up in northern Pennsylvania, what we Pennsylvanians would call the mountains. My one kid brother and I are sitting in a Dunkin' Donuts having coffee on Thanksgiving Day. And he says to me, "Did you know the president was going to Baghdad?" This is the first I'm hearing it. And so I give my brother that look as if to say, clearly no. And I said, "No. When's he doing that?" And he starts laughing. And he says, "He's there now." I'm like, wow, well, cool. And I get the whole concept of need to know. I did not need to know. So I didn't. My brother did not understand that, so he starts laughing and says, "Some top secret security clearance you have." And then I took the wind out of his sails and explained why I did not know that and why I was fine with that. Hey, Susie. So these journalists, when a trip like that comes about, they're told, "Go home, pack your shit, be back here in 2 hours, and don't tell anyone. That's how it happens. But they know those people, so they already know. Okay. The journalists know, okay, we're going on one of those trips. Got to give the wife a nice hug, or the husband a nice hug, and the kids. Because you might not make it back. There is that. And then they come back, they get on the helicopter, and they ride to Andrews. It's not the same helicopter the president. There's actually 3 that fly. I know, because I was on the 4th. In D.C., in what we call the National Capital Region, not just D.C., but the surrounding area, the U.S. Park Police, I'm not using one of those mugs today, the U.S. Park Police fly the helicopter missions for surveillance. The United States Marine Corps fly the other 3. One is for the president and his senior staff that's flying with him. The second is for the Secret Service and what's called the working shift. And in some cases, it's called is it a jump shift? I'm forgetting all the buzzwords, and I'm not disappointed or not sad about it. There's sometimes you might come in for a short work day. That's because the traveling shift will be at Andrews. They'll be on the ground waiting to fly with him. The shift that picks him up at the White House and rides in the helicopter will be done once he's wheels up, really, once he turns over to the other shift. And then the third helicopter is the press pool. Well, the reason that you're on that helicopter is because, the press corps, the White House Press Association, has chosen you from your agency, in addition to your agency choosing you. They also bless you too, and then the government does the background check. Now, because of that controlling the narrative that we saw in the beginning of the show, that's now done by the Trump administration. Very blatantly unconstitutional. Clear violation of the First Amendment. I mean, it's not even close. There's no discussion. But he's doing it anyway. So this journalist that Pete Hegseth is mother effing up one side and down the other probably knows personally, probably has already had this discussion, probably thanked the journalist for not saying anything more than what he did already. Could you imagine, not if, but when it got out, that the journalist knew he got this information and never said anything? The backlash he would be getting, he's already getting from other journalists crap for not giving details on the war plans. I got to credit the guy because I know how tempting that would be. I could have just told you a lot more information about the security plan of the president and what we do with helicopters and things like that. But I know better, and I didn't. Something called discipline, something called a successful background investigation and issuance of a security clearance. Even I can keep my mouth shut. That's the point. But here's Petey blaming some journalist for his screw up. But that's not the screw up. That's the point of today's show. Signal, the application that the director of the CIA, the Secretary of Defense, and other high-level government, military, or paramilitary officials are using is not an authorized application to be on government systems in the first place. They're not supposed to be sharing information with Signal, something their high school kids are using. Hell, even Sport Cat Jackson says he uses it. Hope he's watching today. But that's not the end either. Remember, I told you what Signal does? Like Snapchat? Where you send the message, it gets read, and then it explodes. This message will self-destruct. That's also illegal. Yeah. That's also a no-no. There's this little thing out there. It's called the Freedom of Information Act. And you can't go destroying information that maybe, I don't know what they would be called, a Yemenis American might go through the proper channels to acquire. And there's other government documentation retention laws that are in effect here. Yeah. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Trump 2.0. So Congress is lining up to grill Petey. We'll come back to this in a second. I want to show you some of the other. Oh, there it is. Look at the screen. For those of you that have that, for those of you listening, I'll read. The Trump administration's Signal fiasco has given Democrats an unexpected shot to go on the offense with a pair of hearings in the next 2 days. Here's a quote. Well, somebody effed up. Senator Tim Sheehy, Republican from Montana, former Navy SEAL, used the entire F word in that quote. Why it matters? According to Axios, grilling Trump officials on whether their secret Signal chat violated the Espionage Act won't end the Democrats' bitter infighting. But it's a heck of a distraction. We're going to talk about some of the infighting later in the show and how little attention it's getting. The Senate Intelligence Committee gets first crack at DNI, its Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and CIA Director John Ratcliffe. That's today. The two are among 18 people on the Signal group chat, revealed today by The Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg. The House intel goes on Wednesday with the same crew. Top Democrat Jim Himes, Democrat from Connecticut, is already vowing to grill them on the story. I mean, yeah, of course. Look for Dems to focus heavily on the Atlantic article at both hearings, per sources involved with the plans. Said Chuck Schumer, who should be stepping down any year now. This is one of the most stunning breaches of military intelligence I have read about in a very, very long time. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries from New York called Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth the most unqualified person to ever lead the Pentagon in American history. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this guy makes Rumsfeld look good. Hegseth was in the Signal group chat revealed Monday, along with Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and the chat's organizer, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Not to be confused with Governor Walz, no T, from Minnesota, the former Democratic vice president nominee. In it, Hegseth shared potentially classified details of a strike plan in Yemen, including targets and timing 2 hours ahead of time. Hegseth, as we already saw, called Goldberg highly discredited, among other insults. Nobody was texting war plans. That's all I have to say. He told reporters. We saw that. We're just a month removed from Senate Armed Services Chair Roger Wicker, Republican from Mississippi, accusing Hegseth of a rookie mistake for comments on Ukraine. Wicker will demand briefings for his committee after Monday's news, according to CNN. Bottom line here, House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, defended the officials, calling it a mistake that, quote, won't happen again. He added that Waltz and Hegseth shouldn't be punished. Of course not. Why? Why would we be punished? I mean, because her emails. That's the big deal. Hillary's emails from 8 years ago that were a lot more secure than this. Members of Congress in both parties exploded in anger on Monday after the editor-in-chief, he was the editor-in-chief, I was right about that, okay, after the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic revealed he was inadvertently included in a highly sensitive Trump administration signal chat on airstrikes in Yemen. Why that matters. Some Democrats are already calling for an investigation and potential repercussions against the national security officials involved in the lapse. Shocker. White House defiant after messaging fiasco with The Atlantic. JV, that's got to be JD Vance. Excellent. John Ratcliffe says a good start. Michael Waltz gives a fist bump, an American flag, and the fire emoji. Good job, Pete, and your team, according to MAR. Not sure who that is. Michael Waltz says the team in Mal did a great job as well. That sounds like Malaysia. SM, great work, all powerful start. So what I am presuming by this screenshot of the chat is that's after the fact, because you see at the top, JD Vance, his excellent is kind of cropped. I mean, Houthi PC stands for private chat, small group. So that tells me there's another one. That's a larger group. Might it not be the case? And what's disappointing here, I stutter when I get pissed off. Apparently, I'm just learning this. What is it? Nobody is saying the things that I just talked about. That signal isn't authorized in the first place. And let's say that it is. Let's say that one, no war plans were discussed, just out of kindness. And let's say that actually signal is authorized. Because apparently somebody authorized private emails somewhere along the way. So maybe somebody said, yes, we're going to use Signal. Besides somebody just casually saying, yes, we're going to use Signal, which is probably what really happened. It still violates the law. You cannot get rid of documentation like that. I had, back in the day, I had discs, those 3-inch floppy disks that were small compared to today's storage technology. filled with case info, notes. I had stupid notes on there, and that's why you never wrote stupid notes on things like that, because it's discoverable. From a criminal investigator perspective, from a government official perspective, from an intelligence officer perspective, even things that are classified will be seen by somebody else. So you don't write how much you want to bang the person sitting aside of you in a meeting and then slide it over to that person. Because I'm sure Pete Hegseth never did that either. But what I like about this all the most is yesterday, this story has exposed me to a name that I've not heard yet. Because we're not for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we can't have a DEI hire. Pete Hegseth is fittingly known amongst Never Trumpers as the DUI hire. You deserved that one, bitch. I have got to take a break. Let's see what I'm missing here in the chat. Travis Evans says, yep, I think that's with either maybe the correct spelling of Jon Stewart. Maybe he's a Green Lantern fan too. Or just talking about tonight's show at 8 p.m. Phone info and text can be recalled even if you erase them. Yes, that's true. And I'm going to talk about some other phone info that's also illegal, because I think we're actually probably going to make it 2 hours today. That you shouldn't be able to get. At least not without this little thing called a subpoena. But hey, if your name is Felon Trump, or no, what is it? Felon Musk. Sorry, wrong felon. What's a subpoena? But just hey, get that for me. My buddy Lars from the EU checking in, saying that they should have used Telegram and turned the setting to no screenshots allowed. Fine, but what you're not realizing, Lars, is the security required for government devices and the programs, the applications that we use isn't civilian level. That's why for the longest time, we still used BlackBerries, because the company called RIM, which stands for Research in Motion, was at that time the only company that developed the security required by the U.S. government to share certain things on an electronic device, which is why government officials like Hillary Clinton, like me, like pretty much everybody who's doing anything with anything even just sensitive, let alone classified, we have a work phone, and it is not our personal phone. It is not supposed to be our personal phone, although some have. I know guys who spent their whole career once we were issued cell phones, never had a personal phone because that was their personal phone. Not okay. So this is up the middle. We will talk a little bit about the left today too, in addition to saying that Charlie Schumer needs to go. He's just a bitter old man who's past his prime, and he needs to set the tone that would be a reputable one and an honorable one, and that is, make room for the youth, like Bernie is doing with AOC. And that's one of the things that we'll be talking about with regards to yeah, it's the same. The military, etc., use 6G when they get 7G. The public gets 6G. We don't even have 6G or 7G. We're still in 5G. 5G is exciting for us, for civilians. We don't have. One of the things you got to understand, Lars, is for as technologically savvy as we are as a government, we are not as a society. Remember back at the beginning when that one clip said control the narrative, cause divisiveness? There you go. Up the middle on the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back right after this.
What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness.
Tomorrow, Philip Blackett joins us for Translating Trump. He'll be with us at 11 a.m. for the first hour. Sometimes he stays for longer, not always. And that, he's welcome anytime he can. But tomorrow, check us out at 11 a.m. Hey, Eric. Welcome. Buddy Eric on Instagram, checking in. Philip Blackett will be with us tomorrow, Wednesday, up the middle, Translating Trump. Every Wednesday at 11 Eastern, use World Time Buddy. I think that's what it is. Yeah, World Time Buddy. Go to worldtimebuddy.com to check times for where you're at, because after all, we are global. Speaking of global, DNR Studios, Monday's the day. Derek and Romaine, formerly of SiriusXM. I haven't heard differently yet, so I'm still planning on it. Monday, the 31st, we start on a new network. Well, the network isn't new. We're new to it. We are the only political show on dnrstudios.com. Go to dnrstudios.com. Check out Derek and Romaine. Learn about their show. Learn about the other shows that are there. There it is. dnrstudios.com. Derek and Romaine, formerly of SiriusXM. They're kind of like the gay and lesbian Howard and Robin. They're more co-hosts than they are host and sidekick. They're on tonight at 5 Eastern. What's that? 2 Pacific on dnrstudios.com or on their own app, DNRcast. We're also on Rumble, checking out everything from both sides of the political spectrum. YouTube, Rumble. Go to, let me see. Do I have it on here? I forget which ones I have and which ones I don't. Go to rumble.com/register/Yergs Media. Remember, Yergs Media was the company's name before we became Mastiff Media. Rumble.com/register/Yergs Media. If you're a content creator and you want access to something like that as well, or if you just want the advanced features to watch Donald Trump from his point of view. Oi. It's easy. Welcome back. All right, so I like the music, but who is it that said they don't? Was it Ken? Was that you? Somebody said they don't like the music playing in the background. I just do it for the live spots. Ken says We aren't scheduled for 6G until 2030, if that at all. This is them holding us back, literally. It's there. Ken already also says, please remember to like, subscribe. Yeah. Read it, Yerger. Read it. Like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend. We're building a community here, and we are building. The number of people listening on Yerg's radio is growing every day. The number of venues that you can get this on is growing every day. Thank you all. And really, you know what? Congratulations. Because we are building a community, a movement of not only free speech, but actually accurate knowledge. Remember that guy from today's intro who was the guest on Bill Maher was saying about how information is cheap. Fiction is easy. Accuracy takes time. And that's how you develop trust. And I hope I'm doing that with you. Sportcat wasn't liking it. Wasn't liking what? Sportcat doesn't like a lot of things, so that doesn't narrow it down. I like busting his balls, and he does like mine. He likes my balls too. He just won't tell you that. He likes busting my balls, though. Oh, let's see, where are we at? Oh, that's what. That's right. Sportcat wasn't liking the music. That's right. No, that's why he has his own show. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. Okay, so this is Jeffrey Goldberg. It's kind of important, so I should probably turn the music off. I can't pan it down and then pause it, and I just got to kill it. So there it is. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then the bombs started falling. Oh, I would love to read the story. Yeah, I mean, I might have to start a free trial here. Or is this a subscribe to listen, a 23-minute? Well, we don't have time for that. In fact, we actually got to start winding down. I got to do the plugs because our first hour is coming to an end. Yeah, and then it fades out. Oh, those bitches. I would love to hear what Elsie has to say. Yeah, this was the other thing. Look at that headline. God damn it. Look at this. And he said that. He actually, this asshat actually said, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. And Blake Fisher wonders why I'm comparing him to Hitler. There it is. Blake Fisher wonders why I'm saying that we're in World War III, because the President of the United States said it, not me. I did, but way before the President of the United States, because obviously it's not too hard to be smarter than Donald Trump. A great president and his opposite. There's George Washington and Donald Trump. Yeah. Oh, I got to subscribe to this. I got to find out where they fall first, because I've got a lot of progressive liberal things that I not pay subscribe, but I mean, it's looking like this is, and I got to watch because people are thinking that I'm some libtard now. And I'm not. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again right now. I'm conservative also. I'm happy to report on the misgivings or the shortcomings of the Democratic Party and independents and anybody. But right now, T-Rump
Hegseth and company are the ones that keep stepping on their dick. What am I supposed to cover? You tell me what I'm supposed to cover. When I got these asshats. That's what I said on Wednesday, November 6th, the day after Election Day. Well, I got a job for 4 more years. I'll look into this. And was there like a free thing to start off with or something? Yeah, there it is. Start a free trial. Yeah. All right. So you know what? I'll do that after the show. And I'll see what this free trial looks like. And we'll talk about this tomorrow, because I'll definitely love to put this in front of Philip. I keep doing that. I call him Phil. I call David Beckmeyer Dave. I got to stop. I mean, I am buddy with them. They're both good guys, but they don't use nicknames. They use their full name. I got to be respectful of that. All right. I've got to go through some plugs here. I'll tell you about everybody, so that for those of you that I'm losing after the first hour and don't switch over like you can, like you should, no, you do what you want. I want to earn your fandom and your following. I am not going to tell you what you should or should do, only while busting your balls. Let's see, it's the pre-show checklist. Should keep that there. So there's stuff I do for after the show and towards the end and whatever. All right. Check out America One Radio. They're a progressive station that we were on in Atlanta. And I want to be on a conservative one too. That's not the point. But they're a good station. As of last night, we're still on their schedule. And as of today, we were not, earlier in this hour, we were not on the air. So I've written them via email. I've written them through the website. Check out this URL right here on the screen. Go to the contact tab and say, where's Yergs? We're looking for up the middle. And let's see what we can do. Get back on the air in Atlanta, because we're not with WDJY anymore. They're just a shit sandwich. I'm not working with them. And they don't want to do better. Check out my meetup group for those of you in broadcasting in any form and also any position. You don't have to be at the mic. You don't have to be in front of a camera, nothing like that. We need sound engineers. We need producers, directors, station owners, everything. Go to meetup.com/internet/terrestrial. Oh, that's not that anymore. I changed that. It's Meetup for radio. It's really for broadcasting now, because I've kind of wised up and said, hey, I'm on a radio show and there's a camera. Figure it out. Let me see what the new thing is. It's not internet and terrestrial and all that. That's it. I renamed it. Let me figure out how to get the group. There we go. Oh, it's still that. Okay. So that is the URL. That doesn't change. Go to meetup.com/internet-terrestrial-radio-group. Even though now it's called the Radio Roundtable. And it's Radio Roundtable instead of any other kind of, because Radio Roundtable, sounded good together. And join. There's no cost to join, no cost to take part in anything. Everything's virtual. Our next meeting is this Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll have some Aussie friends joining us again, like we did last week. And then the thing about this, so many network groups like this are the same time every week, and it's a time you can't make. We're going to swap these out so that if you can't make one, hang tight, there'll be another. If you need a pen pal, or if you need to say, hey, this is where I'm tuning in from, but I can't use your radio thing because I don't want my government to know,
Write me through my hotel brand, Yergs at sheyergs.com. Yergs at CHEZYERGZ.com. And if you're here close by, join us at the Sea Ranch Civic Association. If you're in the Nature Coast of Florida, maybe as far up as the Big Bend, that's a hike, or the northern part of the Tampa Bay, go to mysrca.com and sign up today. Call the Capitol Switchboard. Tell your senators, tell your rep in Congress that Doge got to go. Get rid of them. Check us out on DNR Studios. Go to dnrstudios.com to learn more about Derek and Romaine and me and the other shows that are on with dnrstudios.com. Jane Stahl, my Monday counterpart, is the manager at Studio B in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Go to studiobbb.org to learn more there. She's also the co-editor of Boyertown Area Expression, our town's digital newspaper. Go to boyertownareaexpression.town.news to check out that and my article about the things I love and how it's not easy being green. That's coming soon. Philip Blackett will be joining me tomorrow. All his socials are at Philip Blackett, at Philip Blackett, Philip with one L, Blackett with two T's. Matt Deemer will be here on Friday. He's the host of the Daily Crypto News. Find out more at dailycryptonews.net. Write him at matt@dailycryptonews.net, at info@deemerforcongress.com. Blake, the homeless conservative, will be back from his walkabout in a minivan or whatever it was. Write him at blake@thehomelessconservative.com. You can get us all news, NEWZ@yergs.com. For more information and show notes, go to yergs.com and mastiff.media. And in an hour from now, Sportcat will be up with Sportcat's Daily Gazette. All right, I think I kind of got that by news and before we lost anybody. If you're still there, thanks for joining. Thanks for getting off the porch and going up the middle. I could leave you right now, but we do have a lot more to talk about. I've called you Phil? Ken says that Yergs even calls me Phil. Philip sometimes. What? Now, I know the only thing abbreviated there is Ken and Williams. I didn't know. Did you ever want to be called Kenneth? Or is Ken what you prefer? I don't know that I've ever called you Phil or Philip. Huh. I got to go back and listen to some of those. He also says at the end of today's show, will you give us the Green Lantern's oath? Oh, please. Rough me up. Give me something challenging. In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware of my power. Green Lantern's light. There it is. You're talking to somebody who's got the Green Lantern logo tattooed on their chest. I got pictures of that somewhere. I've actually got pictures of me getting tatted. Actually, all my tats, I got pictures and even video of. All right. Where did we leave off? The Atlantic. I got to check that out. So here is where this story is going. And how far. Literally. How far. The Kyiv Independent has reported on it. Hegseth denies leaking war plans in Signal chat while White House says messages appear authentic. So that means you're admitting that, was it Goldberg? Let me see. Yep, Jeffrey Goldberg. You're admitting that Jeffrey Goldberg did not fudge anything that he says he's got, which, I mean, seriously, you get busted doing that, it's over. But then, I mean, you get busted sharing things on an application you don't belong sharing something on. Nah, that's no big deal. I should follow this. I mean, seriously, the Kyiv Independent. It's probably slanted one way or another. We all know that. That's fine. I can evaluate on my own. Listen to this article. Let's listen to this. Let's see what this sounds like in a Ukrainian accent. Oh, I'm nervous. Okay, here we go.
Hegseth denies leaking war plans in Signal chat while White.
The hell? That ain't Ukrainian. She sounds like my neighbor. Oh, boo. All right. Well, let's see if there's something new. That's why I love listening to multiple things, because you never know what else is going to come out. If it gets repetitive, we'll cut it and I'll listen to the rest of it later and let you know tomorrow. I mean, I've got 56 more minutes, so maybe.
White House says messages appear authentic. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on March 25 that nobody was texting war plans in a Signal chat among top Trump administration officials. You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist, Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes, the defense secretary told Fox News. The statement comes as Goldberg claimed on March.
Of course he told that to Fox News, because that's the one that's going to report it.
24th that he was mistakenly added to a private Signal chat where Trump administration officials discussed plans for strikes on Yemen. Despite Hegseth's denial, the leak was indirectly confirmed by National Security Council spokesperson Brian Hughes, who said the chat appears to be authentic. The administration is investigating how an inadvertent number was added to the group, he added. According to Goldberg, on March 11th, 4 days before the U.S. military strike on Yemen, he received a Signal message from a user named Michael Waltz, the namesake of U.S. President Donald Trump's national security advisor. After accepting the request, he found himself in a chat named Houthi PC Small Group, PC referring to the Principals Committee, a U.S. national security decision-making body. Waltz, a
Sorry about that. I thought that stood for private chat. PC, remember we talked about that? So principles something something. All right, I actually want to play that back. Let's see if we got it here.
advisor. After accepting the request, he found himself in a chat named Houthi PC Small Group, PC referring to the Principals Committee, a U.S. national security decision-making body. Waltz, a former Green Beret and Florida congressman, has been a vocal advocate for reducing U.S. military aid to Ukraine, arguing that European nations should bear more responsibility.
But let's help out Israel, because we've got no more or less interest in the Middle East than we do in Eastern Europe. So let's screw Ukraine and just go with Israel. We're good. Moron.
His appointment as Trump's national security advisor has raised concerns about a shift in Washington's approach to Ukraine and NATO. The chat reportedly included 18 accounts with names corresponding to top U.S. officials, including Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and Trump advisor Steve Witkoff. Gabbard is a former Democrat and Army National Guard veteran who has echoed Russian narratives on Ukraine. Hegseth.
It's because she's not the only one that's a Russian agent. We're going to do a story about that too. People that have alleged that T-Rump has been in Russia's pocket since like 1987.
Seth is a Fox News personality and former Army officer who now serves as Defense Secretary despite lacking high-level military leadership experience. Messages.
He's lacking any high-level experience. Fox News on the weekend ain't high level. And the things he did have a leadership role in, he screwed up. This isn't like a political opinion, gang. This is fact.
I've got just as much ratings as he does. And I'm a new guy too. Oh, this is funny. And if it wouldn't be happening to the supposedly strongest country in the world, oh my God.
Within the chat detailed the planning and discussion of the March 15th strike on Yemen, leading Goldberg to conclude that the group was real. Trump later denied knowledge of the incident. I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of the Atlantic. To me, it's a
Here we go. Deny, distance, and diss. I'm not a big fan of the Atlantic. That's because they don't kiss your ass. That's because they don't give you $40 million. Like that law firm that you were scouting out did. That's why you're not a fan of the Atlantic. They've got a set of balls. And apparently, at least a little bit of integrity. That's why you're not a fan of the Atlantic.
Magazine that's going out of business. It's not much of a Yemen, leading Goldberg to conclude that the group was real.
I want to hear this again.
Trump later denied knowledge of the incident. I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of the Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business.
Okay, well, yeah, you say what you want, Donnie. Here's another glaring issue with that statement. I don't know anything about it. Are you telling the world that this is the first you're hearing of a major issue like that? One more reason why the people you've got underneath you are not competent, because somebody should have been on the phone with you immediately saying, Mr. President, we effed up again. We have damage control to do.
It's not much of a magazine. But I know nothing about it, he said at a briefing. The incident has sparked comparisons to past security controversies, particularly Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server while serving as Secretary of State from 2009 to 2013. The FBI investigated Clinton for handling
Hold on a second, gang. Just hold on. This is the first I'm hearing this article, to be clear. Okay? First time I'm hearing this. Let's hear that again.
Sparked comparisons to past security controversies, particularly Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server while serving as Secretary of State from 2009 to 2013. The FBI investigated Clinton for handling classified information via private email, concluding in 2016 that she had been extremely careless but did not commit a prosecutable offense. Some Democrats have highlighted what they see as hypocrisy, given Trump's past calls for severe punishment of Clinton over her email practices.
Lock her up. Wasn't that what they said? Lock her up. Well, I think this is a little bit more severe, so pot, kettle.
You know what Hillary Clinton didn't do? Post-war plans on her email, said Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut, the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, Politico reported. Clinton reacted on X with a brief post, saying, "You've got to be kidding me." Legal experts interviewed by The Atlantic suggested Waltz's actions could constitute a violation of laws governing the handling of national defense information. The Signal chat leak comes amid Trump's broader push to reshape U.S. foreign policy, as his administration grapples with wars in Ukraine and the Middle East while attempting to redefine America's global security commitments. Editorial: What Steve Witkoff doesn't get about Ukraine and Russia. In any negotiation, one of the most powerful weapons is knowledge. In that regard, Steve Witkoff is willfully disarmed. And it's playing just right for Russia. The interview that Witkoff, Trump's special envoy, gave to Tucker Carlson a few days ago revealed a truth that was perceived especially. The Kyiv Independent.
So there we go from the Kyiv Independent. Oh, my dog's dreaming. Baby. Hi, buddy. You're just dreaming. Yeah, your sissy's, yeah, she's there for you. So the smaller dog is there, just like licking his face. And she's going, oh, this is so, look at this. Look at this. For those of you on video, look at this. She just goes and lies down on top of him. That's her face right there looking at me. He's licking himself with like his paws or something. But she oftentimes, I was telling this to the vet yesterday, she oftentimes uses Matrix as like her body pillow. It's so adorable. All right. So that's from Kyiv. That's a digital media source from Kyiv. Here is Al Jazeera. Oh, joy. Let's see what they have to say.
The U.S. returned to its bombing of Yemen on Saturday, March the 15th. The White House said that the goal was to free up maritime shipping from attacks by the Houthis. But the resumption of bombing came as no surprise to the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic magazine in the U.S. He says he'd been briefed 2 hours before the attacks began with precise information about the weapons to be used, the intended targets, and the timing. Jeffrey Goldberg had seemingly inadvertently been included 5 days before the airstrikes began in a chat group on the messaging app Signal. He'd been invited by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Other members of the group included the so-called principals, Donald Trump's most senior national security, cabinet, and White House officials, 18 people in all, including the vice president, defense secretary, CIA chief, and officials from the National Security Council and White House. Goldberg released portions of the chats among those principles that led up to the U.S. military action. And they show Vice President Vance was against the strikes. 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez, the Vice President writes. 40% of European trade does. There is a real risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. A conversation among the principals ensues on the rationale for the bombing. It culminates in this. J.D. Vance addresses Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. If you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again. The response from Pete Hegseth, VP, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic, but we're the only ones on the planet on our side of the ledger who can do this. And then once the airstrike...
Wow. Wow. I was wrong. I was wrong. I thought the trade war was going to piss off all our allies. Hell, that's good news. Wow. Could you imagine if moments after coming out of the hospital, President Biden's Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, a 4-star general with experience in all of these areas, by the way, said anything like this?
Strikes were complete, the National Security Advisor texted a succession of congratulatory emojis.
And this is the one that we saw.
Since Goldberg's publication, shock has been expressed across official Washington.
To share classified information intentionally is illegal, absolutely. To share it inadvertently, I think technically is also illegal. Ignorance is no defense before the law.
Asked on Monday afternoon, Donald Trump said he was unaware of the incident.
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it.
The defense secretary has denied that operational...
I don't know how Mike Johnson can just stand there and say that nothing's going to happen to these people. I don't know if you saw him, but Donald Trump's right in that video was Mike, I've got a small Johnson. Because apparently he's got no balls that match.
Plans had been discussed.
Nobody was texting.
You see how he looks right at the camera that's right on him for that? He's not talking to a camera. He's talking to a reporter. But he turns and looks right at a camera. That is controlling the narrative. One more way while he's trying to make you think that nobody screwed up. He's minimalizing. He's downplaying a huge error that isn't biting them in the ass. It's biting them in the balls. What little bit of balls they've got. Yeah, stop tempting me to do stupid stuff. Ben says he wants to go to Twitter and find Hillary's post. Yeah, I know. We just might. I've got 40 minutes if I'm going to fill out hour number 2 today. So we just might. But by the way, the reporter in this Al Jazeera story actually sounds like somebody that might be reporting for Al Jazeera as opposed to somebody who might be my neighbor.
War plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
But so many questions are now.
And I love how he says, I appreciate it. You don't appreciate squat, dude. You do not want to be there right there. I'm listening to my earbuds from where I check the network. This is
now being raised on a host of issues, not least the legality of National Security Advisor Mike Waltz using a chat app, not just to plan and disseminate details about an active U.S. military.
Okay, so that shot was on the West Exec. That's in a North Park. What I mean by that is this. Let's go back to the shot of it. Where the hell was it? There we go. Okay. So what you see there, let me get my bearings here. I think, yeah, because you see those tents on the left side of the screen? Those are cameras inside all those tents, and that's where the networks are. And the backdrop is the White House. Unless that's on, but isn't that looks like, yeah, this is, so it's been a while. Sorry, gang. Yeah, I want to say that's up by North Park 17, and I forget what essentially on the right side, that's the North Lawn. On the other side of that black fence is Pennsylvania Avenue. And the other side of that is Lafayette Park. And to the left, to this guy's right, is the Eisenhower Executive Office Building. And to the right of the screen, to this guy's left, is the White House.
Plan and disseminate details about an active U.S. military operation, but also then to arrange for them to disappear within days, despite being part of the official record. Shia Bertansi, Al Jazeera, Washington.
So, yeah. So we've got Kyiv, we've got Al Jazeera. Here's Newsweek. Will Pete Hegseth resign over Signal Group chat texts? So, not to be in his defense, but to be fair, I don't know that he's the only one on the chopping block here. Yes, he shared the information apparently. Obviously, we didn't see the information as it was shared for obvious reasons, nor should we. But if, oh, those two are adorable. They should all know this. When you go into a position like this, you get briefed on what you can and cannot do. Hey, Ann, welcome to Up the Middle on Chatter. I'll invite you to the stage. If you got something you want to say, just give me a second and I'll give you the floor. We're also on Chatter and some other applications. We're on my Discord server. You can check any of those out. And instead of calling in, which you can do, 1-888-88-YERGS and 844-GAY-LGBT, you can also join the conversation directly by being in any of those applications. Ann's got her hand up. I'll invite her to the stage again. Maybe she didn't see the last one. So, will he resign? This is Newsweek. I think that was T. Rump saying he didn't know. Which again, to be clear about that, not knowing. This happened a week ago, and you still don't know? Did you catch that? It was with regards to the bombings on the 15th. That was 10 days ago. And you still don't know? Or is T. Rump lying again? See, I think this is the video we just saw, or a clip of it.
That said that some of your reaction to the story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal.
Is that some of the worst makeup possible? Look at those raccoon eyes. Oh. And for the record, that is a comb over. It's not just how he styles his hair. He's a bald. He's a Q-tip, as we call it, when you're bald on top. I don't know how that name came about, but that's what he is.
And included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what?
This asshat doesn't even know what Signal is. Please tell me that he's just playing stupid to play to the cameras. Please. Please tell me the President of the United States is not this much of an ignorant ass.
To do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Right. Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it.
No, here's why it was very effective, because the journalist who inadvertently got it, if inadvertent, was even part of the issue. Oh my God, my nose itches. If this happening inadvertently was even part of the issue. Things like this get leaked every day. Why? They want it in the press. And it's probably a diversion for something else that we don't know about yet. Let's focus on this. Mike Johnson isn't going to let you get punished, because we're going to tell Mike Johnson to not let you get punished.
You're telling me about it for the first time. Anybody else?
So there's that. That's from Newsweek. We'll take a look at that again. That's the Republic or the Democrat thing, and here, I told you we were going to talk about Pete. Here's Pete Hegseth. Let's move this over with this story. So I put the links. Remember, all the links will be in the show notes. All the links will be in the show notes. You can get them at you need to message me eventually when the guy who redid my website finishes redoing my website. You'll be able to get them at yergs.com or mastiff.media. I'm not sure yet. Oh, God, I've got to stop drinking coffee. All right. Former Secretary of Transportation and probably the next president of the United States, Pete Hegseth.
I try not to jump in with a take on everything or comment on everything we see in the news of the day, but what we learned about today is truly incredible. The U.S. Secretary of Defense, the National Security Advisor, the Vice President.
How this guy keeps his composure is amazing. Why would you not want this guy to be the president? He's brilliant. He's an actual genius, probably. I liked him because of what he did with the housing in South Bend when he was the mayor. He made new neighborhoods for underprivileged folks. Finished it above quality, ahead of schedule, and under budget. Why are you not voting for this guy? He's an actual war hero. He's in a monogamous relationship, raising well-behaved children. Oh, he's gay. That's right. Shit.
Into the United States and other very senior, very powerful Trump White House officials, it turns out, discussed highly classified war plans, not only on an unclassified channel, but accidentally and randomly, it seems, including a journalist. And to see this administration claiming that it cares about competence and merit, and then be responsible for an epic fuck up like this, demonstrates that these are not serious people. I was an intelligence officer for about 7 years in the U.S. Navy Reserve.
Never saw that one coming, even when I saw it on the screen. It was like, well, you saw it, for those of you on video. It was partially bleeped in the closed captioning that these damn apps put up. I didn't think that's the first time I ever heard him drop the F-bomb. Now he's got my vote. Because one of the things, the three things that a good president can do is spend other people's money, kill people, and swear. Look at all of the good presidents in history. They all do those three things daily. Trump can only get people killed and not the ones he wants.
And I occasionally handled highly classified information during my time in the cabinet as well. It can be hard to explain just how much goes into keeping that information safe. It is only available to people with a security clearance and a need to know. It's only discussed in certain facilities that are hardened to make sure that.
So what he's talking about there is something called a SCIF. It's a self-contained information facility. In hotel rooms, for example, and I can't get too much more specific about it, but when the president's traveling, they'll create a SCIF in a dedicated hotel room. They'll empty out all the furniture. They'll search everything for listening devices, of course, very thoroughly. That's all I can say about that. Hey, Anthony, welcome on Instagram. Thanks for joining us. It's Up the Middle. And they'll erect a tent of sorts in which the president and any other people go to have a conversation that's classified. They don't even have it in like the president's suite. They all go to this particular room. It's called a SCIF. That's what he's talking about here.
They don't have the same vulnerability to surveillance as most places. And importantly, you only ever use classified systems to discuss classified information. So America needs answers on why an unclassified, commercially available app was used. And even more importantly, how some of the most powerful people in this country didn't know that they accidentally included a journalist while they were discussing classified war plans that they had yet to authorize and execute. This is not something that's just important for its own sake. I know Americans who lost their lives because of intelligence failures. This kind of intelligence failure calls the question on whether there is any place for merit or competence in this administration at all. Because if there are not highly serious consequences for this level of screw up, then it will make clear that all of the bluster about merit that you hear about from this White House is just bullshit. We deserve so much better than this. It is getting clearer by the day that the people in charge of the American government cannot keep the American people safe. Got to do better.
When you get Pete Buttigieg, probably the most measured person in Democratic politics, to say that what happened today was a, quote, epic...
That's where he's going to drop the F-bomb. So I like Brian Tyler Cohen. I didn't realize this was a BTC production. But Buttigieg, his title is Buttigieg Goes Mega Viral in all capitals with response to bombshell Trump. This is the first time I'm seeing it. And it's the only time it's come up in my searches. So I don't know what BTC's definition of mega viral is. But and he's well researched. He's well. It's just. Let's see if there's any other. There's. Is that him? Oh, yeah. We saw that. I'm just scrolling through the rest of his 10-minute long video that I don't need to see the whole thing of. What's that? Is this Hillary? Please tell me it's Hillary. Oh, Brit Hume. Brit Hume saying, "Oh, for God's sake, the administration has already confirmed the authenticity of the message." Yeah. Okay, let's see this. I want to hear from Goldberg himself, and this is footage.
Back at Hegseth on national...
He was texting war plans. Given you were privy to this group chat, is that how you saw it?
No, that's a lie. He was texting war plans. He was texting attack plans. When targets were going to be targeted, how they were going to be targeted, who was at the targets, when the next sequence of attacks were happening. I didn't publish this, and I continue not to publish it because it felt like it was too confidential, too technical, and I worry, honestly, that sharing that kind of information in public could endanger American military personnel. But no, they were plans for the attack.
I said that's why he didn't do it.
They were texted before the attack.
And there were things texted that you viewed as so sensitive, you did not even publish them in your report today.
I made the decision that the technical aspects of this, including what kinds of weapons packages, the attack sequencing, and so on, that's not necessarily in the public interest. What's in the public interest is that they were running a war plan on a messaging app and didn't even know who was invited into the conversation. 100%. I mean, it's an obvious, ridiculous security breach. And, he, if you notice, he didn't actually answer the question.
But his attempt at a denial also stood out to me because no one that I talked to at the White House today argued this or tried to say these were, misconstrued or altered or this is not
Yeah.
real. I mean, the National Security Council confirmed the veracity
Yeah,
of
the
it.
National Security Council, I asked various officials, including Pete Hegseth this morning, for comment. And the first question I had for everyone, is this real? I wanted to make sure, obviously, before we go public, and say, are you sure that this is not a disinformation campaign run by a foreign state, a non-state actor of some sort, trying to target a journalist for reasons I couldn't explain? And they're like, no, this is apparently a real channel. And I appreciate them telling the truth about that. And we published.
And yet still Hegseth.
Okay, so of all the times this administration has lied, they don't even know when to lie. He gave them an out. They could have said, please forward everything you've got. We'll send somebody over right away. And then turn all the things off, cameras, microphones, and such, and just go, whew. No. We've got to publicly admit we screwed up. After all the lies we tell on a daily basis, let's have some integrity here. Because what could happen? We don't need to hear Brian's. That's what I'm for. Okay, let's see. Is this Marco Rubio? That's. See, this is why you also delete things, because it comes back to bite you in the ass. This is Pete. Hey, you notice the lack of gray hair in the video. And for those of you listening, this is a clip of a clip, because this is still CNN providing a clip of Pete Hegseth on Fox News talking about Clinton email scandal spreads. Official. Aides had top secret intel in emails. Well, at least only officials had it.
And Hillary Clinton, they would be in jail right now.
Nobody is above the law, not even Hillary Clinton, even though she thinks she is.
Well, Marco, did you do anything to prevent the spread of this information? Because I couldn't agree more. Nobody is above the law. And part of the law is, I know because I've done it, I bitched out a boss on the Clinton detail for letting classified information sit on a desktop without a cover on it with an unlocked door. And where did the stairs lead to? Somebody else's backyard. He was at the edge of the property. No, spies don't get in and out that way. This redefines pathetic, is what this does.
Mishandling classified in violation of the espionage. When you have the Clinton emails, on top of the fact that the sitting president of the United States admitted he had documents in his garage, they didn't prosecute, they didn't go after these folks.
Hillary Clinton responded tonight with this. You have got to be kidding me.
Republicans dined off of that story for the better part.
There it is, Ken. Did you see it? Let's go back. Just to make sure that was it. Because, I mean, we've got to verify sources and what have you. Let's take a look.
Didn't go after these folks.
Hillary.
You've got to be kidding me. Yeah. That's my girl. Stick it to him, Hill.
Clinton responded tonight with this. You have got to be kidding me.
Republicans.
Okay, now to be fair, got was not in all capitals. There's no extra stress on that. Let's read it the right way. Although I would have put it in all capitals if it was me. And probably put, what is it? I got to do it right now. FFS, for F's sake. I think we're done here because he's going to go to, oh, yeah, please buy my book and blah, blah, blah. Okay, good. I mean, not that I like Brian Tyler Cohen and I'd screw him, or ride him, whatever he wants to. He's straight, or at least he says so. But he keeps referring to his Jewish wrestling career. I don't know why that's got to be. Just you can't refer to his wrestling career in college. You know, he did some kinky stuff in the men's locker room, in the team room, as they call it. All right. I got to take a break because, it's something you're supposed to do every so often. When we come back, we'll do a little right wing. Oh, he's got it too. There's the actual one. Okay, hold on. Why can I never take stuff like that out of chat? Yeah, I'll have to find. I can never cut and paste from the chat, which is stupid. But when we come back, we'll take a look at Hillary's. I mean, we just saw it, but we'll do the original and see who's commenting there, maybe. And then also Janine Shaheen on the way out, probably right alongside Pete Hegseth. We'll be right back. This is Up the Middle on the Mastiff Media Network. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training, a dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness. Jurg's on Cameo. That's it. I'm a celebrity now. Go to cameo.com/Jurg/book, and for like $5 American, US. I mean, it'll convert, but you can get, it's them. I should so do this on the air. This law firm has been calling me back. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take this quick. And it's going to be on the air. Watch this. Hi, you're on the air.
Hello, good morning. This is Joseph calling from the law firm of Morgan & Morgan on a recorded line. May I please speak with Ross?
Yeah, this is Ross. You're in the middle of a radio show, though. Is that what it's regarding?
We're actually reaching out to Ross due to an inquiry that was made to our firm about a potential automobile accident. Am I speaking with a Ross?
Yes, this is Ross, but I've never been in any car accident. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm trying to reach Mr. Morgan, John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, to talk about the political party that he has formed. And I've emailed media@forthepeople.com 3 times. I get calls from you guys a couple times a day following up about a car accident and about other things that you look at the notes again and that's not it. Apparently somebody else was in a car accident.
Ross, we do apologize for the inconvenience. There appears to be a duplicate on the system. That's why the system it's just randomly dialing your phone number. But I'll make sure to update that on our end. That way, keep getting calls. I appreciate you taking my call, and I hope you have an excellent day.
Okay, well, I've got you. I have written through the media email.
Okay.
Can you please forward up the chain that I'm trying to help Mr. Morgan with his political party. I talk to 65,000 people a day all over the world. I think that's a great start.
Right. Okay. Let me check to see if we can do that for you, Ross. Is it okay if I place you on a brief hold, 1 to 2 minute hold, while I check with these specialists to see if we can get this escalated for you?
Oh, sure. Morgan & Morgan's getting a 2-minute commercial on my radio show. Go ahead.
Thank you. Please stay on the line.
Morgan & Morgan is getting 2 minutes on my radio show on how not to handle a case. Oh, this is painful. Meanwhile, one of the things that I would suggest if you were to get me on Cameo is how I would grill you on the phone. Oh, the stupidity in this world. Remember back in the old days when answering services just wrote shit down? Yes, the phone is muted, by the way. I think. So Cameo, well, not like we were in the middle of doing anything or anything. Cameo.com/Yergs/book. Schedule me to, maybe this is what's going to get me some more cameos. Is this call right here? Okay, what else? Philip will be with us tomorrow. Philip Blackett has his new book, Life After 40. I need to read this here. Hold on a second. The actual URL, if you're listening, and you need to type it in, is lifeafter40book.com. That's Life After 40 by Philip Blackett. Check that out. And have a look at that today. It's free. I should unmute that just in case. Oh, there we go. Lovely music. Or is that mine? No, mine's muted. Oh, we get to listen to theirs then. Does this happen on your radio show? I wonder if Sportcat's listening.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. When our clients come to us for representation, I see way more than a client. I see me. When I hear
Ken
someone
says
has
that
a
dude from
herniated
Morgan &
disc
Morgan
or a
is
back
so
injury,
confused.
I think, what if that was me? How would that impact my life?
All right.
Hello, Ross. Thank you for holding. I do apologize for the wait. So I have a phone number. It's Mr. Morgan's phone number. I'm going to go ahead and transfer you to him so you can leave a voicemail.
Okay, thank you.
Please. You're welcome. Please hold while I connect you.
I'm
For the
John Morgan
record,
of Morgan & Morgan.
we
For 30
told
years,
this guy
we're
this
the
is
first
live,
call for
right?
people in their time
Did
of
you
need.
guys all hear that?
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are here for you. Over 1 million calls last year alone.
I'm going to create a link.
Hi, this is John Morgan. I'm sorry I'm not here to talk to you. If you will leave a message, I'll get it, and it will also be transferred
I doubt it.
to my mobile devices. Sorry to
Yeah.
miss you.
I bet
Please
it
leave
go
a
to
message after
somebody's
the tone.
media's mobile device.
When you have finished, please hang up or press the pound key for more options.
Hi, this is Yergs from Up the Middle. I have been trying to reach you for almost a week now. I just was called during my radio show when I had advised not to call because the calls I take are on the air, and we're on the air. So it's recorded on this end too, and you're listening to about 65,000 people right now worldwide. Give me a call, and I'd like to talk to you about your political party that you started at 1-888-88-YERGS. 1-888-88-YERGZ.
You've reached to accept and set message options. Press 1. To replay, press 2. To erase and to send now, press the pound key. To mark as high importance, press 1. To return to the previous menu, message marked as high importance. To send now, press the pound key. To mark as normal importance, message sent with high importance. Goodbye.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I'm going to send the clip to his email. I'm going to send links to the posts on my social media to their email. And finally get somebody's attention, if not to talk about the political party that the guy formed, to talk about how poorly maybe they should be in the Defense Department. I don't know. Because clearly there's some similarities going on here. I want to go back and look at some of the other let me go back. So I didn't search for the link yet, but I will. And we'll put that in the notes and whatever. Let's see. So we found Hillary's post. That link is for those. Yeah. So the link is in the chat. For those of you in the chat, maybe you can access it. I can't, but I'll find it. Hey, Nathan from Radio X in Australia. Hope you're still listening. Thanks for checking us out and checking in. I think this is the one that Brian told me about, is like a huge fan already of us and Sportcats Daily Gazette, which is up next in about 5 minutes. Donald emotes like a bird. Yeah. Enjoying the show tonight. It's night there in Perth. They're 12 hours ahead of us. 15, I think, on the east coast of Australia. Hegseth would get another DUI before he resigns. This group doesn't take accountability for anything. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, we were talking about two Petes today. Yeah. Ken says your error meant he meant Pete Buttigieg, not Hegseth. Yeah, we talked about, and you saw it by now. So, is that like a, oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, there's been, Blake thinks BTC lies and is a grifter. Yeah, he said that. Wow, that's good. Yeah, Ken remembers that. And I don't think he lies. I think he exaggerates. Shapiro, not Brian. Ben Shapiro, the angry Jewish guy from the right. Benny Johnson. They're lying pieces of shit. We're off terrestrial now. I can say that. Ken says, yep, that was Clinton's statement. I posted a link. Yep. Thanks for that. That dude from Morgan & Morgan is so confused. Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah, I'm going to send clips of a bunch of this. So what I do now after every show, because I got to immediately update the RSS feed, is I'll create clips of that and, put that in social media and let Morgan & Morgan get a little bit of publicity for their whatever you want to call it. Let's go through plugs. We got to wrap up. Oh, you know what? I want to make a point here. Here's Jeanine Shaheen or Jean Shaheen. I don't know. I thought it was Jeanine, but anyway, here is the third Democratic senator, or third Democratic member of Congress. I think they're all senators, to be retiring at the end of their term.
New Hampshire Senator Jean Shaheen says she will be busy during her remaining time in the United States Senate. Shaheen recently announced that she will not be seeking re-election in 2026. The 78-year-old has been in public office for 35 years. She is the first woman in New Hampshire to serve as both governor and U.S. senator. As she begins to wind down her career in Washington, she says the issues that face Granite Staters every day will continue to be a priority.
That we protect Social Security, that we protect Medicare, that we protect Medicaid so that people in New Hampshire can continue to get the health care they need, to try and continue to make sure it's affordable.
Shaheen says she will also be focused on foreign policy, which includes the war in Ukraine. She is the highest ranking member for the Democrats on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee.
Okay, so here is here's the point that I want to make about me trying to find something to report about on the left. This is my Google search because I saw this earlier today. This is the videos, and that which is the one I actually played here. This one that's purple, that was the 53 seconds we just played. All right. To find her in the news, a third Democrat is retiring. That is what comes up in the news. Her .gov website. That's it. She didn't even make the news when she was in the news. That is why I don't get to talk about the left as much. Not because I don't want to, because there's nothing to talk about. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, gang. Appreciate what you do for me, because clearly you guys appreciate what I'm doing for you. Let's go through the rest of here real quick before we got to turn it over. We do got to turn it over. Write America One Radio, AmericaOneRadio.com. Tell them to pull their heads out of their ass. Let's see what else. Capital Switchboard 202-224-3121. Call them. Tell Doge got to go. And Sportcat is up next. Go to Para or Normal Guys with a Z for Sportcat's Daily Gazette on YouTube, or stay right here on Yerg's Radio or Radio X. That's it, gang. Philip will be joining me tomorrow. I got to go. We're late. Peace out. Thanks for getting off the porch and running with the big dogs. See you tomorrow.